The Tape Never Lies network coverage of the NFL Draft starts now.
Ding, ding.
Collaborate this. The Tape Never Lies network coverage of the NFL Draft starts now.
Give me some fucking names.
Draft day, round one, the pick is in. Intangibles, hard hits, slinging pigskin. Chicago on the clock, pose on the chopping block. Pick smart, you maximize on your draft slot. Draft day, round one, the pick is in. Intangibles, hard hits, slinging pigskin. Chicago on the clock, pose on the chopping block. Pick smart, maximize on your draft slot.
The tape never lies. Realize potential ain't the way to go. Always draft football guys. The game is one up front. Rebuild the lines. We trading up for a QB. Throwing down the best analysis out there, and there's no debating. Nerves on edge. Collab crew collaborating. Simple. Take the guy that takes his freaking head off. TTNL with the coverage. Ryan Pace got his get off.
The blog boys ride the nuts and study the swag. Flag route or the drag, we get to the bag. Left tackle or the slot, show me what you got. We need a guard and a cornerback with draft stock. Cream of the crop, last season was a flop. Protect Justin Fields in a 3-step drop. In the pocket, hits keep them ready for the sport. Eva Flus told them get your track shoes if you want to run the north. Draft day, round one, the pick is in. Intangibles, hard hits, slinging pigskin. Chicago on the clock, pose on the chopping block. Pick smart, you maximize on your draft slot. Draft day, round one, the pick is in. Intangibles, hard hits, slinging pigskin. Chicago on the clock, pose on the chopping block. Pick smart, maximize on your draft slot.
Don't be bullshitting anybody. I'm telling you right now, you can't. Because it's going to show right up in that film. They never lie.
Made that catch with a big old hand.
There's hope, Shayne, again. There's hope.
Yo, we're back. Seems like we just left about 12 hours ago.
Oh, my God. What an exhausting night of football analysis here at TTNL. Close to 10,000 views on the show. And listen, I appreciate you guys, you fans, you guys that love this as much as we do. What a night for the Chicago Bears. I know the surface level pros are upset and all up in their feelings, but here at TTNL, obviously, even in our song Open, there's Easter eggs in there. And one, when you rebuild the line, if you look, there's a giant circle around Darnell Wright. I'm just pointing it out to you that obviously we produced that well before the draft. It's the best analysis out there, and there's no debating. That's it. And Shayne, I woke up today, not gonna lie, tired as shit.
Right there with you, bro.
But the reality is I have a pep in my step. I got Biggie playing in the background. I'm wearing the Biggie hoodie because we got a Biggie that's a goodie. And that's really where we are. I mean, Darnell Wright, Shayne.
No, perfect fit, man. We've talked about it time and time again. That's one of the things that we got excited about with Tevin Jenkins is bringing some of that demeanor to the offensive line. And now we get a guy that lives and breathes that. And 21 years old, I mean, 335 pounds. He's a monster. So I'm looking forward to it. It's, I know we preach competition here, but listen, this dude's a day one starter, bookend, franchise cornerstone on offense, along with your quarterback. So,
dude, I think we said it. I got my boy Ivan Vargas, the super producer, not even here because he's working on cutting what was definitely the best coverage of the draft when it comes to the Chicago Bears out there.
no doubt.
Last night here at TTNL. What's up, Herb? Herb Howard in the house, my boy. And hopefully he comes on tonight or tomorrow, whenever he is during the draft, he has availability. Because this was a cultural. I said I wanted to know who Ryan Poles was.
Yep.
Shayne's telling me to calm down. I will never calm down. I was so anxious because I've been abused by the likes of Jerry Angelo, Phil Emery, and Ryan Pace. So to have a new GM, young, learning on the job, and there's kind of huge questions in regards to things. When you're in this prime position that you were, how are you going to handle it? Were you going to go surface level and take a shot on all the work that we've done at this network that said the opposite? Like Skoronski wasn't even in my top 5 offensive linemen. And you're going to take that guy because he's convenient? Or are you going to take a swing at a dynamic flash player? He's not a dominator that has a motor. And I was anxious. I was fired up because the Darnell Wright tape stood out to all of us. That here's a football player that not only was dominant, but he was great in pass pro, which is easy. And fans were, even analysts on ESPN, except for obviously Louis Riddick, are saying Todd McShay has fucking flip-flopped 5 times. He's like a fucking gymnast. Mary Lou Retton's cousin over there. The reality, like, you can't do that when you're analyzing shit. You can't. You have to stay. Like, there's no reason my board should change.
No, all that points
leading up to the draft.
Phil, we know what that points to. They talk to people within the league and they tell them that you're too low on this guy. And
Thank you, Shayne.
We had some behind the scenes talk this morning, you and Ivan and myself, about a situation, and it points to that specifically. You can get a nugget, but then when you're going to go and talk about it, you don't expound upon that, and you just want to keep everything surface level, and you want to, it was great. And listen, if the Bears went out there last night and took Jalen Carter, nothing we can do about it.
We're going to root for the kid.
We're going to root for the kid 100%. It's not his fault that the Bears would have drafted him. But then, like I said, that neon light on Ryan Poles' forehead and Kevin Warren's forehead and Matt Eberflus's forehead, it just gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And I don't know how you're saying get your track shoes ready.
Exactly.
Selling the hits philosophy and then going after a kid that they're saying that the coaches at Georgia didn't even have anything good to say about him. That's a big deal. Can't get him to practice. That's a big deal.
And it's a huge deal. And unfortunately, and again, I'm not saying everyone. I know swiftly you flip-flop fans of whatever networks and all this stuff. All I know is what the tape was telling me. Then you correlate the rest where, these guys, but too much, and you hit it right on the head. There's too much. And all you have to do is listen to ESPN with some of these guys and these narratives. And they all will say, well, just talking to somebody around no, don't talk to nobody.
Yeah.
Watch the motherfucking tape and come up with your own conclusion. Don't, McShay, well, talking to people, I got to move this guy up. Well, you're doing it wrong. And that's why you lock
That's
it in
just
here.
admitting to everybody that you're not really watching tape.
Exactly.
You don't really have a process of ranking players with what you see.
Exactly.
You may throw up a couple of clips and say, "Oh, he looks pretty good," and then you talk to a source of the Arizona Cardinals and says, "Oh, you have him ranked 150. Everybody that we're talking to in the league has this kid up in the 40s," and then boom, Todd McShay's updated his 150.
Exactly.
John Doe has moved up 60 slots. Oh, because I was grinding tape last night. No, because somebody told you to do that. That's all it is, man.
Listen, I don't flip-flop. I will always be upfront with people. I have gone out of my top 50 is nobody else's top 50 because I got Charlie Jones in my top 50. I believe in that kid because the tape tells me I believe in him. Maybe he doesn't make it, but his tape tells me that he will. And I can't get past playmakers in moments. Whatever the acronym spells out, playmakers in moments. The big moment, who steps up to make a fucking play? Those guys show up on tape. Darnell Wright going up against the heavyweight champion of the world in Will Anderson was amazing, right? They referred to that. But then you watch the next game against Auburn, and he's fucking throwing dudes down and blocking down, cut off on inside zone, and he's not missing the mark. He's never taking a play off. You could see there's pride in this on tape. When we broke down, and all you have to be is go over to the reality of our analysis of Jalen Carter was the first draft mob we did. I want to love Jalen Carter in that moment. Me and Chris Zorge talked about it on the Super 16 poll show on our network. Great player. Does former Bears defensive lineman, 3-time All-American Chris Zorge said, but does he hustle all the time? It's there on video. A guy that's motor always ran because he was an underdog, right? Chris Zorge. That's a fair question, and that's in season. Then you get to the tape, and all we kept seeing, Shayne, you and I sitting there, is him getting too high, him getting lazy, him taking a playoff, and then he makes a highlight play. And then 3 more plays where he's nowhere. That's not what you want. No. And then now the coaches don't like him, right? No one's giving him. Now he's got some issues at the combine. He don't want to run. He's huffing and puffing in the easiest layup interview there is. All of those are red flags.
And let's be honest, the NFL is a 3-point league. When you're playing in Georgia, you're up by 30, 85% of the time. You're on the football field. So that's all part of it. But Cap was on with us for a little bit last night, and he was reporting this morning that Ryan Poles knew 4 weeks ago that Darnell Wright was his guy. Him and the offensive line coach went down, worked him out privately. They really put him through it. They wore him out and then didn't even really give him any time to catch his breath, put him right back out there, and he pushed through it. And I'll bring this up and we can share this. We'll put the banner up. This is the phone call from Ryan Pace.
Oh, I haven't seen this
yet.
Yep,
his first.
This would be my live reaction to this.
His first round pick as a GM.
It's Ryan Poles from the Bears. How you doing? Good. Darnell.
What up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man. You excited?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm a little bit in shock, a little bit. I'm just trying to figure out, you know what I mean?
No, man, you're going to be great, and we're so excited to get you.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
you're going to be
I'm happy.
awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're looking ready to get to work.
There he is.
Win a
My
world
boy,
championship.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm ready.
Congratulations, man. God bless you.
Thank,
All right.
Thank you,
Stay
man.
focused.
Big fella.
Stay focused.
C-Mo, what up?
You ready to go to work?
Yes, sir.
Chris Farley. Finally. I don't see no Ted Phillips in there. That's a huge gift.
Phil, I am not lying. When I saw the video, I've run it back 3 times and specifically paused it to see if Ted Phillips was in the room.
I knew.
I watched it and then I ran it back and I paused it and I'm like, all right, we went on the left. We're going to check the middle. We're checking over on the right. I'm like, hey, is that him? No, it's not him. And no, it's part of it. It's Kevin Warren's time. It's Ryan Pohl's time. Ted honestly shouldn't even have been in the building.
Right.
Last night.
He should be on the golf course or eating out with his friends, practicing his 8-step handshake with Patrick McCaskey as well. That's what he should be doing. The reality is that is great. The fact that I love David Kaplan, man. I think, and Shayne, obviously this network, can't thank him enough. The fact that he's reporting that insight just goes to show this network, and I'm going to say it again, loud and proud. There was never a moment that anybody, not one analyst on this network, was saying we got to get Jalen Carter except Claudio. So kick Claudio off the thing. The reality is we were all step for step, and then
this is Claudio.
The other thing is, like, every mock we did, each one of us took Darnell Wright. And so, of course, we're going to take our victory lap. It's like I got several calls from people that are, quote, in the national media or texts and saying, you guys should take your lap because you called it. You put in this hard work. And trust me, it's hours and hours of analyzing this stuff and trying to give you guys the best coverage. And I went to sleep exhausted. So did Shayne, Cars. And I just woke up so happy that the Chicago Bears identified.
I almost didn't make it through scheduling the shows for today. Feels like just go to bed.
I'm making fucking thumbnails for this show at the very end. It's like, oh my God, I'm so tired, but it's so worth it because thank you. We have the acronym. The TTNL acronym is PIMP. There you go. Okay. Playmakers in moments of prominence. There you go. Thank you, Cody. Make a fucking t-shirt of that, Acevedo. TTNL, PIMP. I'm going to save this. Put it up so we can get a screenshot of that. The pimp. There you go. But yes, Darnell Wright, man. You said to Justin Fields, we got you, big fella. We got you. And that's what they really needed. And they were able to do it, Shayne, by passing back and getting another fourth round pick next year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, Clay Harbor went out on Twitter last night. I mean, it embarrassed me that Clay would even send something out like that. He's like, I don't understand why you drop down to number 10 if you have your guy. Just draft him at number 9. Well, Jesus. I mean, you knew Philly wasn't going to go Darnell Wright. There had to have been some consensus there, obviously. Well, and this is another thing that Cap
last night.
Yeah, this is another.
We knew we were going to get our guy. Obviously, who are you? Are you going to take Carter? Because you ain't going back if they're going to take.
They had other calls for Carter to move up. They had chances to move down farther for teams that wanted Carter. They did not want to move past 10 because Cap was reporting that Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham had some intel that the pick at 11 for the Tennessee Titans was going to be Darnell Wright. And Chicago took him at 10. Tennessee had to pivot to Skoronski. So that's why they didn't want to move down any farther. Yeah, CHGO did report and put a graphic up that the Bears drafted Darnell Washington, tight end from Georgia. So that was a fun moment. But I think with that, Phil, like I said, there's going to be a lot more coming up. I know we're going to talk about Darnell Wright, obviously, is the top 10 pick. It's obviously fresh in everybody's minds. We're going to break them down on Sunday, but here we are pushing 1 p.m. And let's talk about day 2 a little bit, maybe some guys that we can be targeting. And I know you and I decided to run another draft simulator just in rounds 2 and 3 but just Phil, do you have some names yourself? I mean, I know there's one right at the top that you and I are both in agreement on, that we feel like it's got to be a target for them, in Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame.
Yeah, he's my number one target because of the draft need and the player. I'm a big believer in that kid. I wouldn't have been upset if they took him at 9. That's how much I believe in that kid. Like, if they decided in their analysis to take that edge rush, like, I mean, I don't know a higher praise I can give. You know, we saw Wilson, Anderson, Nolan Smith, who we not wanted no part of, Will McDonald, Miles Murphy, and Felix go off the board. So you're seeing a huge run on edge guys. And, you know, when you start getting down to Andre Carter, that's, you know, a huge need that you don't want to come in. Now, the 3 technique obviously is going to play a role here too, Shayne, and Benton.
Oh, yeah. Right? Keanu Benton, Adebaware is obviously going to be a fit, no matter how you feel about him. And I think center's in play today.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a depending on how they feel about John Michael Schmitz, they've showed pre-draft interest in Tippmann. So that's going to be interesting there. I just think you think about
Olu, but again,
yeah, that's not a selection you can make today, in my book. I think he's day 3.
I think you could take him in the 3rd.
Yeah,
I really do. I believe he's that good. But again, I think the Holy Trinity has to go into play here. It's quarterback, we have.
Yep.
Pass rusher and offensive tackle. You got the OT. Now you're sitting there with Green, Trevis Gibson, and Dominique Robinson as your edge guys. And I think Walker is a rotational piece at the edge, but more of a 3 tech. So if you've identified a pass rusher like Foskey and you have a high grade on him like I do, I don't have a problem taking the 2 picks and moving up there to get in position. It sucks that we don't have
I think it's in play. It's obviously going to come down to how they have them on their board, obviously. And I said, I look back to the draft when Kansas City took Creed Humphrey. They took him in round 2, and that was kind of the linchpin to their reformation of their offensive line, and Ryan Poles was heavily invested in that. I mean, Phil, there was talk about Creed Humphrey going higher. He dropped a little bit there into the 2nd round, and then KC made their move. They grabbed him. And I look at this offensive line. So you have Cody Whitehair, and I think that they, we all know that there's a poker aspect of the NFL draft and the NFL offseason. And when Ryan Poles comes out and specifically says Cody Whitehair at center and talks about how many snaps he's had at center, I think he's putting that out into the atmosphere for a very specific reason. in the NFL world. I'm not going to be at all shocked if the Bears trade up today and they take another offensive lineman. If they feel there's going to be a run, with Schmitz and Tippmann, if they have them too, because you still have Whippler, depending on how they feel about these guys. Maybe it's not going to be, but you add another high-end offensive lineman to this team with Braxton Jones, with Nate Davis, with Tevin Jenkins. Let's just say they draft Schmitz or Tippmann, and then Darnell Wright. This is a whole new era of Chicago Bears offensive line. You have high upside at each position on your offensive line with guys that are very, very young and can gel together. And that's not something that we are used to here in Chicago. And it's, other than Braxton Jones, it's pretty heavy investments at that point. Tevin Jenkins was traded up for. If they move up for a center, that's a high impact move. Nate Davis, they paid in free agency. Darnell Wright is a top 10 draft pick. So times are changing in Chicago. It may not be as fast as everybody wants, but if they have their guy, regardless of position, and they feel like they're going to lose him, go get him.
The reality of where this is difficult because you're at 53, right? So are you wanting to wait, see where the board comes to you, or you identify? For me, I could wait on center, right? I could wait. I can't trade up for center. I have Tippmann.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a for instance, Phil, I'm saying it can be pass rusher, it can be 3 technique.
Pass rusher, I can get involved because I think the well goes dry. You're looking at Yaya. I like Thule. Byron Young is underrated in my opinion, and I know you like Ojulari, but more than I do. But Isaiah Foskey, I had as a first round.
Yeah, and the Bears are very much connected to Derek Hall out of Auburn. Is another name.
Auburn.
Out there. Yeah,
I like it, and obviously Hall and my guy, Keon White.
Yep.
Keon White. So those type of players are out there. I don't know how you feel about the Alabama kid, Byron Young.
A little older, but very, very raw. I mean, I can see him fitting because there's 2 Byron Youngs in the draft. There's one out of Alabama and then one out of Tennessee. You're talking about the Tennessee pass rusher, I'm assuming, right?
No, I was talking about I like the Tennessee kid. I was talking about him before, but Byron Young, more of a defensive end.
The kid from Alabama. He's very limited in pass rush, very solid run defender. I would be a little disappointed if that was the move that they made up here. But like I said, they can have a whole different board than I do. So
I would not want to turn around and go with a corner here. That's the one thing I think I don't want to see you trade. I think offensive line and pass rusher or 3 technique here. I could definitely see what you're saying, double A being brought in as a 3 tech. Not my favorite. If we had this pick for Claypool, I'd be praying for Foskey to be the pick. So would I trade up for Foskey? Yes. Because what do we have? 53 and 61, right? in the second round?
53, 61, and 64. And 64 is the first pick of round 3.
I would hold on my 64 or whatever. I would only give 2 to move up and get 2 picks, Evan. I need that backup pick to get Foskey, because then you still have that coming on night 2.
Yeah.
You still at least get, so you give 2 to get another, to get 1 higher.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let me know how you're making out on your end. I know what you're probably working on.
I just saw this text. We'll get a little surprise here. I might have to do this for you. Here we go. But yeah, right now, day 2 of the draft. Shayne and I both took the day off of work to get to this point. Chris Zorich called me. I hope you aren't working. I was like, bro, thank God Shayne was like, just take it off, bro.
Yeah, I did, man. I needed to. I let my son skip school today. Probably shouldn't be saying that publicly, but I did last night. So I told him, like, you stay in here with your sister. I went outside and mowed some lawn and just kind of got outside and got some fresh air and re-energized a little bit, but I could definitely take a nap.
Yeah, I love the way so far this draft is set up and the future of the Chicago Bears stacking up in next year's draft because of the amount of picks you're getting. I just want to go back to the statement by Clay Harbor, and I'm not trying to take a shot at Clay, but I mean, sometimes you got to think before you say dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
Because there's zero reason why you should run up and take your guy when you have an opportunity to help your team in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like taking a 4th round draft pick and just saying, here, you can have this. You know, we don't need that.
No, we're just going to take our guy.
Yeah, that's called holstering the tweeter sometimes is the best, avenue for you to take. And Clay should probably focus on that.
I mean, what the Bears did last night was so slick. It's like, now we're putting all the pieces together because this is what happens after the draft. See, TTNL predicted this before, more so we hoped it before based on our analysis, right? But now all the truths are coming out with guys like Cap and all the media that have access to these guys now. So if he was their choice 4 weeks ago when they decided to make this trade and they identified Darnell Wright being a guy that they wanted, and they went through all their film study just like we did, and they've identified the guy, that to me is a tip of the hat, not only to TTNL, but for us to them, because my fear was I don't know who this guy is.
Right.
And look at what they've done. Look at what they've done.
Yeah. So Joe missed it. We talked about it, Joe, just to recap real quick. He sent out a tweet not understanding why, if the Bears had their guy at number 9, why they would bother even trading to number 10 and not just taking him at number 9. Why trade to him? It made no sense. Well, you dropped down 1 slot and got a 4th round draft pick and still got the guy that you were targeting initially. So yeah, it makes a whole bunch of sense. And exactly, Tustin's right. You save a whole bunch of money from going from 9 to 10. That's a part of it also. I mean, it's not going to prevent you from taking Darnell Wright at 9 if you didn't have the deal, but that's just another added benefit. Absolutely.
And the Bears pick up that 4th round. They get their guy. They get a pillar piece. As Steve Edwards was saying, like, it's time. They have not drafted an offensive tackle in the top 10 since Jimbo Covert.
1983.
We have known the issues. The Bears have drafted Kyle Long. They put him at guard. Tevin Jenkins, put him at guard. It's a story that I can't even believe I got to keep bringing up. They take a 7th round, soft as puppy shit, and they put him at tackle. These are real stories. These are real stories that lived and breathed, and they drove me insane watching the offensive line play.
So
now you got a real deal there.
Do you want to throw up the simulator, or where are you at on your end with?
I'm
with
waiting
that?
for him to respond.
Okay.
See there? It's all sent to you, Herb. Mac Jones, baby. Mac Jones. That's right, bro. We'll see what Mac does this year. I'm sure you're trying to.
Yeah, another badass.
Badass. Who would you take, Shayne? Tipman or John Michael Smith? They want to know.
I have
if you had
Schmitz.
to choose.
I have Schmitz as my number one
I have
center.
Schmitz as well.
Yep. So let me get this. We'll throw this up. And so this is just when I start this simulation. It's only going to be for the 2nd and 3rd rounds. But the way that PFN has this set up is it's going to simulate, and it's going to be all the actual picks.
That's
from
a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try to pause it at 32 before they make their pick, but it goes kind of fast. So we can just see. So let's get this rolling
real fast.
All right, so there we go. So you see the run on corners, Phil. Started
3 corners right there.
Yeah, and that's a if you're into pass rushers and offensive linemen,
that's good for us.
Drop into Chicago. This is a good thing. I did one of these simulations earlier, and the funny thing is, Anthony Richardson obviously went number 4 to Indianapolis, and then when I did the simulation, Will Levis went 35 to Indianapolis. So which obviously makes no sense, but we'll see if they.
I hope they don't fuck that up. Oh my guy!
So Foskey came.
It came with a trade.
Yep, the Saints traded up and took Foskey. So you see another
Ojolari now.
Yep, another edge goes off. Will Levis goes to Seattle. Brian Branch, Washington, Tooley off the board.
Oh, my boy Tooley.
Michael Mayer going to Tennessee.
Darnell Washington went in the first.
Number 10 overall, according to CHGO. Yeah. So Cyrus Torrance, DeJuan Jones, Drew Sanders. That would be an interesting debate, Phil, if Osiris Torrance fell to 53.
He's my number 1 guard in this draft.
Yep.
But I like the Drew Sanders pick. Fuck. To Green Bay. That would hurt. Trenton Simpson, the weak side backer.
Another edge off the board.
Derek Hall.
Washington. Pittsburgh goes
there goes Benton. Fuck.
Oh, shit. It selected
they
for us.
selected for us.
Yeah, I must have fucked this up, I guess. I
think we got to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I ain't taking Jalen Hyatt there. I'll tell you that.
No.
My guy actually went to Seattle right after us.
I must not have selected the team, I guess.
Wait, I don't think you selected them again.
Oh, I thought I did right there, didn't I?
I think you just hit start. Maybe I didn't see it.
All right. Well, let's run it. There goes Foskey again, Phil.
DeJuan Jones to the Steelers. They got Broderick and DeJuan. Motherfuckers. Now Adam
Washington.
Double A's out.
Yeah.
Keon White went.
Mock is gone.
There,
nice.
You did it right.
Wow, there
goes 1 before us.
Yeah. So Schmitz, Torrance, and Michael Mayer.
I honestly would be talking to you as my GM and saying, Michael Mayer brings a lot to the table. I have a way higher grade on Mayer than I do on Schmitz. I also have a higher grade on Mayer than I did on Cole Kmet coming out of fucking Notre Dame as well. huge separator at the point, bully, and he fits the new. Who was that again? Who came up with it? The new TTNL principal, Cody Munson, the pimp, playmaker in moments of prominence. Michael Mayer is a pimp.
Yeah.
I love it, Cody. Thank you.
So in terms of the trade offers, I mean, they're not gonna do that. They're not trading Becton.
I love Becton, but he can't stay healthy. Now, look at Osiris Torrance is there. Tooley now is back there. Derek Hall is there.
Yeah.
Our guy Mingo, will he be there at 61?
Well, the conversation that you would have to have, Phil, is
Benton on the board?
No, he went off.
He went, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or no, Keanu Benton is on the board. I'm sorry, that was on the
He
first
is?
one. Yeah, it's number 66 right there.
Oh yeah, there he is. All right, so he's got to be in the cluster of guys.
The talk would be here with Michael Mayer. Obviously, the value is extreme there at this point. Osiris Torrance would point to one of two things. You're going to potentially go with Cody Whitehair at center, and then you have Osiris Torrance and Tevin Jenkins battling it out for left guard. Or
John Michael Schmitz.
You take John Michael Schmitz, who's going to be your day one starter, and you're going to end up releasing Cody Whitehair in camp and saving $9 million.
Yeah. That right there. This is a tough situation that they put us in. My board, the highest guy on it is Michael Mayer. He is. So I think you're helping Justin Fields there, man. I believe in that kid. So that's who I would be going after here and hoping that at 61, we're going to look Benton, Tooley, or is Tipman still there too? Or
No,
he already went?
He's gone. Yeah, I mean, I can sort it by DJ Turner, obviously, is still there. The edges, Tooley, Derek Hall, Keanu Benton, and Gervon Dexter is somebody that the Bears are connected to. Corners, DJ Turner and Brents. Tyreek Stevens is a guy that's been on the Bears list. Your guy, Antonio Johnson. Obviously, Michael Mayer. Wide receivers are Rice. I wouldn't be in play there. Charbonnet. Obviously, we're not going quarterback. But this is it's a difficult decision. Problem. But yeah, and it's the way that I look at it, Phil, is, and I know you have a difference of opinion on Cole Kmet. I think the Bears are believers in him, and yes, there is extreme value there. I just think if John Michael Schmitz, you're locking in a guy that is starting day one and is probably going to be your center for the next 10 to 12 years. And there's a legit possibility that Michael Mayer is very limited in what he plays this year with Cole Kmet and with, obviously trade would be in play here, the trades that they offered on the simulator. So I'll let you make the call.
You're going to let me? You're the GM. I'm the coach. I would rank it like that. Let me see the edge rushers again.
Yep.
Go to defense and edge. Sometimes they have guys lower than I have. I have them higher. No, they've got it. They got it pretty.
I honestly think it's between those three right there.
Yeah, the top three. The nickel corner out of Utah, I could see them loving because Clark Phillips is a little bulldog at nickel. I could see the Bears loving that kid at this place, but I'm with you. Those three at the top. I would just rule out Torrance. So I would bring it down to John Michael Schmitz.
But are you doing that only because of Tevin Jenkins?
I'm doing that based on the guard position.
Okay.
I feel as though center and tight end. I have them both high. I have Michael Schmitz over Torrance, and I have Michael Mayer, obviously my number one player. I would go Michael Mayer. That would be me. I just think you're getting an extremely talented football player.
Well, add our guest here, and let's get him involved in this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have his intro uploaded, but I'll do it off the top of my head. Friend of the network, just had a birthday, Shayne. So he's living the new life, and he got a gift from Ryan Poles, a right tackle out of Tennessee.
It's Larry Mayer, everybody. Oh, no.
Let's bring him out. Friend of the network, Herb Howard from It's the Big.
I had to do that right when he was drinking. I had to make him
Hey, Shayne, you're a fool, man. What's going on, man?
You didn't see Larry Mayer on NFL Network?
I turned on NFL Network, and there's Larry Mayer, and I'm like, holy shit. It was so funny because they're interviewing people like 2, 3, 4 minute clips, and Larry was on for about 35 seconds, and it was the most surface level interview ever. And I'm like, only
shout out
Chicago.
To Larry Mayer, man. Yeah, shout out to Larry Mayer.
So Herb, we're running a mock draft simulator here for rounds 2 and 3, and the Bears
fun.
So the Bears are on the clock, and it's kind of worked out in a crazy way because the top 3 available are Michael Mayer is still available, Osiris Torrance, and John Michael Schmitz. So Phil and I have been. This would be a pretty good.
Keanu Benton is still available. I forgot about him. He also would be in the conversation here for me as the coach.
Yeah.
Me as the GM, I'm taking Michael Mayer, and I'll tell you why, Herb, and see if you agree with. He is a bully in the route. And he's a pimp, which is our new acronym here. And it's the reality of what I said, playmaker in moments of prominence. The game is on the line and critical. Michael Mayer, despite everybody knowing he's getting the ball, comes down with the ball. I don't care what he times in his underwear, what he does on the football field. I can't believe he's not in the first round. And I had such a higher grade on him than Cole Kmet. I remember the Cole Kmet draft. This kid was a freshman, if you remember.
Yeah.
And when Cole came into the Bears, he was a sophomore. And I'm like, I wish we had this fucking tight end from Notre Dame. Not that. Now, Cole has gotten better, but I still, as the coach, I would say give me Michael Mayer. I think there's an argument to be made. Plug and play John Michael Schmitz at center.
Yeah.
Great argument there. But I just think the value of Michael Mayer, what he can do for Justin Fields. The Bears have 2 tight ends on 1-year deals. It also will help you in negotiations with someone like Kmet. If he pulls a Larry Borum and LOLs this, then you know you got the wrong tight end anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Like go in there and compete.
Did you see that, Herb, last night from Larry Borum?
Yeah, I saw Larry Borum do that. But I mean, Larry's had plenty of opportunities to lock down that spot. Obviously, he was the 5th round pick, but he's had opportunities to lock down that spot. It just hasn't worked out for him. So the Bears would have been foolish to go into this season, hoping that either he or Alex Leatherwood would step up and take that position. They could have went the route they went last year and signed a veteran, late heading into camp. They've done that a couple years in a row. It worked out with Jason Peters, not so much with Riley Reed. The Bears had to go ahead and make the move that they made. So, Larry Borum can feel however he wants to feel about it, but whatever.
So what are your thoughts here, Herb, at 53 if it unfolded? Is there anybody else that you'd like to
Nah, if it breaks down like that, I would go with Schmitz. That's where I would go. I would just double back down on the line. You went there at your first round pick. I would just double down on that and continue to build, that front. And I think that would have a pretty formidable front right there. You go left to right with Braxton and Tevin, and you got Schmitz and Nate and obviously Darnell. I think that would be a really good front to start the season with. Now you got to let them gel and come together.
That was kind of
be an extreme makeover.
Yeah, that was my thinking to her, because I said I'm not sure. Tight ends take a little bit of time, and I'm not sure how much playing time Michael Mayer would even get in 2023 with Cole.
Yeah.
And
it just seems more luxury to me too. Like I get it, Phil. It just seems more luxury because I like the steps that Cole made, and I like the idea of pairing him with Robert Tonyan. I think they can do some really cool things with two tight end sets, especially down in the red area with their size and mismatch ability. So I like where they're at right now at tight end. I do like the kid a lot for sure. He's a great prospect, and would love to have him. But for me, I look at the where they are right now in terms of what they already have. That seems more luxury than I think the Bears can afford to be doing right now. So I would probably lean towards the center, but I'm not mad at the thought process.
Yeah, it's definitely a great exercise. Let's go to the last choice of this would be out of the package of three would be Keanu Benton, the 3-tech. Obviously, the Bears tried to get Ogunjobi.
Yeah.
They didn't. Obviously, everyone knows that story, the first free agent signing, and they stuck to their guns on the doctor's report. Now they have not. We at TTNL showed everybody the tape. When Walker's inside as a 3-tech, he's a much better disruptor and pass rusher. That's where he should be. So they might be completely ecstatic about him more so than the league, right? I don't see him as – I see him as a situational edge guy that sets the edge, but I don't see him as an edge rusher with that twitchiness on the edge and bend. Inside, he's beating people with his hands and his speed. So that's where we think he is. They signed Green from Houston, who, let me say, he's out of USC. This kid had a lot of pressures, doesn't have the stats, but you go to a new place.
He's got great length, too.
Yeah, he's got good length. He actually showed up in the Bears game when they played each other last season. So
Phil,
I don't know how they feel about those guys.
Tom Pelissero just sent out a tweet.
Yes.
That says that the Detroit Lions were, and listen, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Love the player. I just can't fucking believe they did it at 12. Tom Pelissero said they were fully prepared. He was their guy at number 6.
Really?
Come on.
He just sent it out.
That's just foolish. And I love the kid. Like I love him.
Me too.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he turned out to be better than Bijan. I love the kid.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is he wasn't going to go there. He wasn't going to go that high. So there was no reason to do that. He probably wasn't going to go anywhere near 12 either. So there was no reason to do what they did. But the player himself, I love him.
Whew, I couldn't believe
and they got that room is crowded too. It's like that's what we were just talking about with Phil and the tight ends here. Like that room is crowded. You just gave Demo his money. You still got Swift, and now you bring in this kid. It's like how many carries we gonna have a game?
Not that many.
Kind of show you're showing your cards with your quarterback there too. As far as I'm concerned, you're loading up that heavy at running back. I mean, those are massive investments. 18 mil for Demo, and then if you're willing to pull the trigger at number 6, oof, it's too rich for me. And I was talking about people were giving me. I'm like, if I don't give a shit who's on the board. If for whatever reason Jahmyr Gibbs fell to 53, I'm like, to me it's over. Yeah, run it in. Yep, all day. And then number 12,
and then he goes at 12, and would have went at 6.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it either. And I'm telling you right now, the Swift is getting traded.
There's already teams are already reaching out. Yeah,
or tomorrow he's going.
Got to.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. And you could tell in Hard Knocks that there was some disconnect with them. It's like you're trying to constantly motivate. That's the back. You see Duke Staley. Yeah, That's the bad. That's what you gotta tap into that. And it was just the
Some
undrafted.
more breaking news here. The Bears just made their selection at 53, and there's a new center in town.
There you go.
Now Michael Schmitz.
There you go. You took the center. I get it. I totally do.
So
I just love Michael.
Before we run this down, Herb, I know you were a big Jalen Carter supporter, and what was leading up to the picks and when the Bears were on the clock? What was going through your head?
It was interesting. I didn't initially think he would get past Detroit. I thought they were going to target him at 6, put him next to Aiden Hutchinson, and call it a day. Like that sounds scary to me. Yeah. But when they chose to move out of that slot, I was like, okay, well maybe he might actually slip on down to the Bears, and then the obviously Seattle didn't want him at 5, and the Raiders didn't want him, and I was like, oh, he's going to slide down to the Bears, and then I was like, Ryan Poles may have just did everything he wanted to do. Moved back, got the future assets, and still got his dominant 3-tech. And then he moved out and was like, well, he doesn't want him either, right? And so, and then you get the word that's going to be Darnell Wright. Love that kid, right? I think so far, all last night and so far this morning, there's been this conversation about this or that. And I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. They don't have to be, right? It's fine to say, I liked Jalen Carter. I did like Jalen Carter. I would have been excited if they chose Jalen Carter. However, I love the pick that they made in Darnell Wright. I think he's the perfect fit. I think he's a mauler. He's got great size, great athleticism, great feet. He's got the right demeanor. He said all the right things when we talked to him briefly over Zoom last night. His press conference will be at 3:45 today. I love the pick they made with Darnell Wright, but I also would have been really excited to have Jalen Carter. So I think both things can be true. At the end of the day, it's Ryan Poles and his staff decision. They made the decision. I think it's a good decision, but there's no doubt about it. That pick will be tied to Jalen Carter forever. And so that's just what it is. If he's a 2-3 time Pro Bowler in the next 5 years, people are going to say, well, Darnell Wright better be 2. That's just the reality of the situation. I think Ryan Poles understands that. I think he's comfortable with it. And I also think that Darnell Wright will be a very, very successful player in this league. But when you talk about Jalen Carter going to Philly and the front that they already have and the familiarity with the guys that he knows there, I think if anybody can get the most out of him in terms of, his motor and all the other things that we hear about him on the downside, I think that's probably the place for him. So even if he does go on to be, a great performer for Philly, doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly the same player the Bears would have gotten. So you got to keep that in mind too. But I think that pick will constantly be tied to Jalen Carter for some time to come. But I think the Bears ultimately made a really, really good decision, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. Jalen Carter, when everything was working, even on tape, thing that just drove me nuts with him is you'd see a play where he looked like an alien, and then you wouldn't see it for a while.
3, 4, 2 series.
Yeah, exactly. And that was I have a that it gave me pause. And then we had a guy on with us, Lauren Cox, that does the Lockdown Bears, and he had some friends down in Georgia that were talking and saying that it was a struggle to even get Jalen Carter to practice every week, and that the coaches were saying. And I'm like, I don't think that shit gets better in the NFL when give this kid $20 million. Maybe it was a thing that he didn't want to put his future earnings in jeopardy, up 30 points against a team in college football. Yeah. I don't know if that's
even if that's the case. That's bad football character. You know what I mean? That's bad competitive character. You don't want that. And I think that the Bears have enough in their scouting department. They have enough analytics. They got enough in their security department to do all the background necessary on these guys. And if they came away with it uncomfortable, and they brought him in for a 30 visit, and they went to go see him at Georgia and all these different places they had the chance to get their hands and their eyes on the kid, and they walked away seeing the flashes that you talk about on tape where he is otherworldly at the 3 technique sometimes, but then also saying, I'm just not comfortable with it. And so obviously that was the decision that they made. I'm sure they put, Tarpey and all those other security guys on it, and came back and said it's just too big of a risk. And you talk to the coaches, like you guys are saying, behind the scenes, the coaches are saying, he's not the football character isn't there. And so never mind the off the field things. I've been saying this the entire pre-draft process, at least since, everything came out with the tragic night where the 2 people lost their lives in the cars. But to me, it wasn't that. That wasn't the big thing. For me, the bigger concern was his inability to compartmentalize through that process and say, okay, I'm dealing with this off the field, but I'm still going to be a professional enough to get myself prepared for my pro day. When he came to his pro day, 9 pounds overweight, couldn't compete, looked sloppy, looked sluggish. That showed me that you aren't able to deal with what you're dealing with off the field, but still be a pro enough to do what you need to do on the field. And so ultimately, I think it was just too many red flags for the Bears, and they probably said, we aren't taking them no matter where we are. And that was obvious. So they were able to move back one spot, pick up a 4th round pick for next year, whatever, and still get their guy. So I think they went through the process, did all their due diligence, and said no.
Yeah, and Ryan Poles kind of really come out and really say it, but when he wrapped up talking about Jalen Carter, he essentially said it was a character. I mean, that's what it was.
The thing with Jalen, listen, for me, the red flags were there on tape for me to what Shayne was talking about. It's 1 glorious play and 5, 6 not. And then all of a sudden, that to me, those flash plays are good for highlights scouts. Sure. Like they're going to put them together and you're going to go, wow, this is but when you look at it down in like that pimp philosophy that we have, like, are you making those plays in the moments? And then you throw all the other things. This kid, if he gets it, he could be a perennial Pro Bowl dominant football player, right?
No doubt.
But he went to the right place for that. And we've said that since Jump Street. Shayne, we're breaking this down. He was the first guy we broke down because we knew we identified. We got the number 1 pick, 3 tech. This kid's dominant. Let's watch his tape. You watch this tape, we were concerned. It's all there in documented January. Then you throw in what you talked about in the incident and the red flags at his pro day makes it even worse. And then the thing that happened was his place now is with Fletcher Cox and guys that are professionals. The Bears don't have exactly. They have
He's
a
got
winning
his teammates
culture.
from Georgia now.
He's got his teammates from Georgia.
Yeah.
So now there's no excuse for Jalen Carter. Like you're gonna look around. We don't have that here. We don't have an Olin Kreutz.
That's gonna be like, hey, get your shit together, man.
Exactly.
Like, right now.
This is it. Go get your shit together. Bears fans that are going to turn this around later. We said it last night. I wanted nothing. I went on a rant of all rants. I wanted nothing to do with the guy, right? But if the Bears had picked him, I was going to support him and pray that he wakes up and does that. But never take it out on the kid. I would have questioned their philosophy. He doesn't fit.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the locker room to absorb that.
Exactly.
Right? Like the Eagles do. If I'm the Eagles, he'll be at their facility today. I would have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham meet him at the door. Walk him into the door, take him to his locker, put it right in between theirs, and this is where you're going to be with us for the foreseeable future. Exactly. The Bears don't have that kind of infrastructure to absorb a kid who comes in with a big head, with a low motor, with questionable motivation. Like they don't have that locker room. This was a back in the day, and you've got guys like Julius Peppers, or you got Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack, whatever. Then it's a different situation to bring him in. But you don't have that. He's going to come in like, I'm the man around here, and there's not many people on that defensive front to question him about it.
Yeah, because everybody else is going to turn around, look for him to make a play. Like. Right. You're so talented, big fella.
Yeah. Well,
I got paid.
Top 10 pick comes in with some respect. And when you're as barren as the Bears are on the defensive line, you think Dominique Robinson's going to go up and tell Jalen Carter to shut the fuck up and, shape up? I doubt that's going to happen. But, you talk about football character. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's not Bears related, but it just caught my eye. Did you see Jordan Addison on the phone call with the GM in Minnesota?
No.
What's his name? Is it Queffy, Dos Mensa, whatever his name is? But
something Mensa.
So he was on the phone call with Jordan Addison, congratulating him. You want to be a Viking? Yeah. And he's like, all right, man, we'll see you soon. Jordan Addison signed off his phone call with, "Let's get paid." I was like, yikes! Oh my!
They wanted Zay Flowers. They wanted to put Zay across from Justin or put him in the slot, and Zay went right before them, and so they had to take that kid. And then he says that it's like, oh,
oh man, would that give you some serious fucking pause if the dude that you just drafted signed off with
let's get paid to the GM? Knock it off, man.
Yeah, it's like, man. And I mean, even Minnesota put that out, and I mean, I'd be editing that shit.
Yeah, for real.
That video.
Cut that last part out.
Yeah, exactly. So while you guys are talking, I ran the simulator, and believe it or not, we're at 61. The Bears are up. Michael Mayer is still available. So I don't know if he was snorting blow off a hooker's ass. I don't know. I don't know what's going on at this point, but I mean, oof.
You can't. I don't know how you pass them up.
I don't
here,
think you can,
especially with 64 coming right back.
Yeah, the value's too high at this point.
Exactly. You got to take the big tight end from Notre Dame, and then hope and pray. I would hope Thule went right next. That was the guy I was hoping would be there.
So now, I mean, I think Benton would probably be that guy, or Derek Hall is still available. Herb, have you heard? I've heard that the Bears are tied to Dexter. They've done a lot of work on him from Florida. I know he drives me nuts when you're watching him. I'm like, can you just get off the snap just a little bit faster? Like almost every single fucking snap. I want to scream at my TV when I'm watching it. But do you think that that's a guy that's going to be in play tonight for them?
I don't know. I'm with you. I think he's account slow, like every time. Yeah. And I think if you're account slow in college, even in the SEC, you're going to be account slow in the NFL. Like it's going to be even worse. And you talk about dealing with these different cadences and these smart quarterbacks and how they can manipulate those things and these tackles. I don't know. I mean, it seems like an easy thing to coach a guy out of. It seems, but I imagine they've been trying to do that at Florida too. So I don't know. I think there's going to be some interesting prospects for them at that point. I'd also be very intrigued to see about the possibility of the Bears moving up. Yeah, I know that's not really what they've been doing, but I think that if they have a guy who continues to kind of fall down the board, like some of these guys just do, and they may have had a first-round grade on a kid who slips and he's down there, late 30s, early 40s. And I asked Ian Cunningham about this the other day. What is their target zone for when they might want to move up, right? When they might want to say, okay, now this kid has moved into our range. We can go up from 53 to say, all right, we're comfortable, doing what we got to do to move up to 42 or 43 or whatever it is. So I'd be interested to see if there's a prospect like that kind of slips down the board and they say, listen, let's go and get this kid. We've accumulated some future assets. We've got some things we can play with, some things we can bargain with. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on one of these kids. And I'd be interested to see who that kid is, because if they do that, we know it's a kid they absolutely love because it goes against what they have been doing.
Well, looking at the top of go scroll back up, Shayne, for our draft here. I would trade up. Shayne asked me, I would take two of these picks to move up to secure my guy Foskey out of Notre Dame. I thought he'd be in the first round. The motor never stops. He's got the length. He's got the determination. I mean, he also broke the sack record at Notre Dame. That says a lot to me historically, that this guy, come on, how many players have gone there and played it? I just love his tape. I mean, I remember that show, Shayne, and we all got off. Like, it was just so much fun to watch a guy that just never stops.
And he fits what the Bears want. If they want length, they want a guy that's explosive. And that's, Cap came on last night and said that the Bears had done a ton of homework on Nolan Smith. And I love the guy. I love the player. I just don't know where he fits in this. For the Bears, he's a will linebacker.
Yeah, he's such a tweener. Like it's hard to figure out. If we were still 3-4, then I'm with you, right? I get it.
Exactly.
where we are now, 4-3 cover 2. I don't know where he's at with that. I don't know if at best he's a situational DN for you, like third down specialist, that Mark Anderson bend the corner type deal. And I don't know that's enough value for where you're talking about taking.
Did you see him sitting on the couch with his mother and grandmother? He looked the same size as his grandmother last time. Like,
yeah, for real.
You look at him, you're like, this dude's an end in the NFL. I'm like, they said he's an amazing kid, leader, and all of that. I get it, but I don't know how he's
a guy that, again, I think that the Eagles makes a lot of sense. It's a perfect spot for him, right? Because they're able to collapse the pocket from the middle. So he's going to get a lot of those one-on-one rushes on the edge. He's not going to be, double team. You can't pay him too much attention because they have all of that beef and girth in the middle. You got to pack that thing in. So he's going to be, or you can put him in some wide nines and just let him go. And, those types, that works well for him.
Don't forget about Hassan Reddick. I mean, it's very similar. Yeah, very similar type.
Exactly. That's perfectly described by you, Herb and Shayne. That's what he is, and I don't think that fits here. I just want to confront Muck. Maybe here it is. Komet. Mayer is not Komet. Watching tape on Mayer goes back to our philosophy in the pimp. Mayer makes contested moment catches constantly. It's not like one or two. This is like 3rd and 17. Everybody knows.
One hand grab down the seam at Atlanta.
Oh my God.
I'm joking with you.
It's the one highlight of the guy. Yeah. If he did that more consistently, I
think his arrows pointed up though. I think you're a little too hard on him.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, and I was down on him coming into last season. I was like, listen, I'm going to give this kid half a season. I'm tired of talking about his potential. I'm tired of talking about what he could be, what he might be. Either he's good at football or he is not. I was like, I'm going to give him half the season. And he started out slow, and then right about the midpoint, I know, right about the midpoint, he started to pick it up. And I was like, I got to give him credit. He had a good, solid second half of the season, turned into a pretty good season. I think arrows up on him. You bring in DJ Moore, you get a full off season with Chase Claypool. Mooney is who he is. You get you solidify that front. I think it creates a lot of opportunities for Cole Kmet to continue to ascend. And so maybe he's not Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer still may go on and be a better pro, but I think he's good enough that it's not a need unless he's still there at 61.
Exactly. If he's there, I mean, it's a great
just the value alone.
Jailbreak is 100. This guy's much better. He's in another universe in catching.
When does Dallas pick? I can't say Dallas passing him again. I was surprised they did it last night. They're going to pass him again.
That's where I pegged him to go in the first round to the Cowboys.
Yeah, they took an offensive guard.
Wow.
But as we know, these simulators get bonkers sometimes. But
right here, though, at our last pick of this show would be 64. And you look at the board now, 3 tech, Benton would be probably my number one choice at this point.
And
especially with Thule. I think I have Thule over Benton because I think Thule could play that 3 technique way better than people believe, but he also could play. He offers versatility like Van Ness does, and Thule's not the athlete that Van Ness is, but Thule has a motor that never quits, and he's a fucking maniac inside. So,
side note, and this is just me as a fan of y'all show and what y'all do. Where did y'all come in on Kalijah Kancey? I know he ended up going like somewhere like 17, 15, whatever it was to the Bucks.
I like it. Phil was.
I would have
over the moon in love with him, and Phil would have taken him at 9, and I could not do that. If the Bears could have made a move last night, and if he was hovering around 29-30, I would have been fine with that. In the top 10, I can't.
You couldn't get with it.
No. This kid's gonna be a superstar. There's just an unbelievable showcase of short area Bruce Lee type power. That punch separate and explode through it. I mean, his 40 time was what it was. It's amazing, right? But watching his tape, just seeing him win. Now he would have trouble at first dealing with the double teams in the run game. There's no doubt. It's not why he's
but what's
going to be an
him
interior
penetrator.
Him
he
going
will
to Tampa,
fucking just move the line of scrimmage, and you got guess who you like
Vita
Shayne
Vea
said,
right
Vita
next to him.
Vea next to this guy.
Yeah.
It's only gonna and a lot of times fans don't see that double trouble, especially on the defense. Look what the Bears did way back when they had a great defensive front. Tommy Harris, they came back with Tank Johnson. You understood Tank's gonna have to take those doubles to force them to solo Tommy. And
even Anthony Adams, like you just get a big beefy dude next to him.
Exactly.
So Wednesday night we did a live mock. Eric Kramer came on with us, former Bears quarterback, and he was the GM.
Yeah.
And he traded down just a little bit in the first round, and he drafted Darnell Wright. And then he made the move up to I believe 29. He took a couple
earlier. It was earlier.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was with Cincy.
Cincinnati.
Traded up with Cincy at 28 and came up, and he took Kalijah Kancey. But then the pivot was in the simulator. Mozzie Smith dropped, so then you're going to add the guy with size right next to Kancey on the interior of your line. That's the problem. If you pull the trigger at Kancey at number 9, who's he working with in Chicago on the interior?
Andrew Billings.
I like Billings though.
Yeah,
I like what he brings just in terms of that size and that ability to eat up blockers.
I think he would be perfect with Billings because Billings is a veteran that's done it. He's a talkative guy and a leader. Got a great personality. That's an underrated sign. I'm with you, Herb.
Yeah, I actually
Billings.
forgot about Billings, but still, 9 was.
You mean a young guy to build with?
Yeah.
They would have to come in this draft, but freaking Mozzie went in the first round. I was not surprised. I was just like, wow, okay. Like one of those.
That's the thing about the draft night. It's like it's like you talk about with boxing. Like everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth, right? Everybody comes into the draft with a plan until somebody does something that throws the whole thing off. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it affects the whole entire board all the way down. And you start to see guys go where you didn't think they would go. You start to see guys fall where you thought they would have been gone. And it's just one little thing that'll happen. And it could have been as early as the Texans moving back up to 3, and it just shifts everything and throws everything off. And now everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get my guy? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then Mozzie's gone, and Kalijah's gone in the mid-teens, and it's a different thing.
I had to laugh at Ryan Poles when he was talking about that. He goes, "Yeah, everybody's got different boards," but he goes, "Yeah, there is those guys when you're like, wow, I can't believe." And I'm like, dude, just say it's Detroit. Everybody knows it's Detroit. Because I want
to talk to Demo, man.
I've avoided texting him because
that had to be it. That had to be a Mike Glennon level, Chicago Bears draft party. Then boom, it's Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, yeah, that was tough.
They were putting out those videos pre-draft of David with Coach Campbell in the hallway talking.
Yeah.
And there was this Detroit was putting that out there. And I'm like, oh, here they go, rubbing it in on us. He's coming to determination. He's bringing that. And then you go and draft a running back.
If they end up with just those two guys, I think that's still a formidable backfield that you got to deal with, because Demo's going to bring it every single carry. He's going to wear you down. And then you got to deal with this 4-3 dude coming in. That behind that, that's foolishness.
This is definitely them trading Swift tonight.
There was a rumor saying that that was going to be the Jets pick for Aaron Rodgers.
Gibbs.
That they wanted Gibbs.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if there's any truth to that. I did hear that, but then I mean, you can throw the Jets in that group too. I mean, like, I like Will McDonald, but Jesus Christ, when he went that high, I was like, man, that surprised me
just address this. Like, in my analysis and my coaching experience, when people throw out 3 technique, and it was verified in the NFL, because I come from a family tree of coaching, and Rod Marinelli talking about the 3 technique. It's all about the explosion. Do they want to? The want to. And that really was the Jalen Carter demise for the Bears. And when I look at Thule and you ask me, well, he's only 6'3", 266. Well, yeah, he could probably put on 12, 15 pounds by camp, whatever. But the explosiveness of him getting off and moving the line of scrimmage is there. So that's why I can project him.
He's very, very young too. He's like early 20s. Yeah, I mean, he's 20 years old.
Player.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old.
Player.
Yeah. You got to be able to think in football. Like as a coach, you got to be able to think and be creative and expand your mind outside of the bubbles in which everybody tries to put football into. And you got to be able to do different things. And on a much, much lower level, I remember when I was coaching high school football, our DC took this. I mean, literally the smallest kid on our team. This kid was short and thin, and puts him at D tackle. Kid named Sam. I had already come to stop doubting this coach because he was just brilliant all the time. I love him. But I was watching this thing. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, and I'm offense, so I'm like, whatever. But I'm watching him unblockable. Nobody understands. Like, you can't. How's this kid in the backfield every time? He's this big, but it was he had the desire, he had the heart. He didn't know he was 5 feet, 150 pounds. He had no idea, right? Exactly. He looked in the mirror and saw a lion every day when he woke up, and he would play like that. And he used his speed and his hands and his feet, and he's in there and he's wrapping up running backs' ankles every single play. And it's like, yo, how did you even think that? And he was like, I put the kid's characteristics and his physical abilities, and I thought he could play there. Because where else could he play? You think you can play corner, but he's too small to do that, right? But here, he could do that. And so you got to be able to think outside the box sometimes. You really do.
Totally true. Absolutely. Give me goosebumps talking about that because I have 100 stories like that from my dad doing that stuff. And it's like football, man. It's all about.
He said, Phil, get in there. Get in there, little fella.
There's a great story. There's a great story. This Asian kid barely speaks English, comes out for the football team. Henry, his name was. His parents moved to town. It's like the episode of, what was that show? Fresh Off the Boat. It's almost like that. And he comes out for the football team. Where are we going to put this kid? He doesn't even know how small he is. He's just hitting everything that moves. So my dad, what does he do? He puts him at 3 technique and just goes to this kid. We started calling him certain names. I just don't want to get in trouble. But
I feel you. We did the same thing. Like, but it was in the family. It's fine, right?
Exactly. I'm like, oh my God, this kid is unbelievable. He doesn't even know that he's doing. And teams are like, gee, this kid's like 5'4", 180 pounds, maybe 400. Not even 155 pounds. So
he's not the first guy off the bus, right? That's not what you want, the first guy off the bus. But when he gets out there, the other team's looking at him like, "Who? What? You putting this dude in front of me?" And he's just eating up all conference centers and guards, and he's in there. And every single time it's like, Blandon, Coach Blandon? I was like, how do you know that? Like, what even made you consider that?
Exactly. And that's really on a bigger level. All of these guys are so tremendous. I mean, Moro Ojomo from Texas is a very amazing football player, right? This kid honestly gets to the right place and has that kind of determination. He could be a grade 3 technique in this NFL draft right here. But it's to that these guys sit down with them. Like, I always remind fans of this. Our network, we hit a lot. We've been right a lot, but we don't have that other piece. You talked about the security measures of the Chicago Bears, throw out the guy's name even. We don't have we don't even have to sit down with these guys. Like, if I could sit down with some of these guys, then I would have even bigger favorites and understanding. So, and yes, it's John Randall is the undrafted. He was too small, Hall of Famer, because he had the determination to do it. And that's really what I hope day 2 is about, getting these football players that we see on Sundays come the fall. Right now, chapter 1, round 1, pick 10 for Ryan Poles, for me, without him playing a down yet, has been a home run, because I see where they're going culturally. And I think that's a big pat on the back to Justin Fields too.
It is. I think, listen, everybody understands how important this season is for Justin Fields, right? After the end of the season, the Bears are going to have to decide he's the guy or he's not, pick up his 5th option or don't. And you want to be able to make that evaluation with everything that he needs around him, everything that you can provide at this time. So they go out, you get him DJ Moore, you already got Chase Claypool in the fold, got Moon, you got Cole Kmet, you bring in Tunyon. Now you get the offensive line solidified around him, and you got to take the excuses away, right? And that's not to knock Justin at all.
No,
but he's had legitimate excuses. And I know people don't like the word excuses. You can call it reasons or whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, things happen in the NFL, and when you are, coming in as a rookie and you're dealing with a new OC and you get limited reps during the offseason, and they just throw you into the fire and try to get you killed in Cleveland, that thing doesn't work. And then you come in, you got to learn a new system, limited talent around you. Now you take those things away. You get him a legitimate number 1. You bump everything down a spot at the wide receiver depth chart. He's consistent in terms of having the same OC again. And then you start to build that offensive line. You're taking the reasons for him to not produce away. And at the end of the season, you got to be 100% sure. And so I think they're putting everything around him that he needs. And I think he's going to show improve. I like the kid. I love him a lot. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And you got to give him a legitimate opportunity to be that. We've seen it with all these other quarterbacks. Whether it's Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, or it's Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, everybody. And so I think he's another one, and the Bears are giving him what he needs. And by the end of the year, everybody will know. Whether you pro Justin Fields or still on the fence about him, everybody will be 100% sure by the end of the season he is or he is not the guy to lead this team to a Super Bowl.
I'm 100% with you. Because he was the hardest evaluation because of the shitty offensive line. It really was. It was very difficult. And you don't know if he's running because he has to, but if you're a fan.
Even from that, Phil, the thing that I take away from all of it, and I understand there was throws there that were missed. There was, I still look back to that Detroit game and I'm like, dude, you can't make that pass there, the pick 6.
On the screen.
Terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
Just awful.
Yeah, I asked him about that too. He was like, "It'll never happen again. I promise."
Exactly. Yeah, and he owned it up. And Mitch would have been like, "I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the tape and all that." I'm not even going to get into Mitch, but with Justin Fields, the thing that the separator for me in all of this is, what did he do right after that? It's what he busted off that long run, touchdown run. Crowd erupts. He makes another big. You see elite level passes almost every series. It's not every single pass, but it's there. And look at the people that he was throwing to last year. Simba Webster was a 3rd down target multiple times last year. Let that sink in. Yeah.
That's wild. He's got everything you need, Shayne, and like you've seen it. You've seen flashes. There's nothing that you would want from your franchise quarterback that you haven't seen Justin do at some point or another. He's done all those things. He can make throws to every part of the field. He can be quick with his decision when he needs to. He can certainly get out of the pocket and make plays with his feet. He checks all the boxes for you. You just got to be able to do that with elite level talent outside and up front. And I think the Bears are starting to put that around him. And I don't let him off the hook. As quick as I am to defend him when people talk about things like when he had the strip sack fumble, when you had Dante Pettis running wide open on the corner. Listen, I don't know how many people have ever been in the pocket playing quarterback, but there's a cumulative effect that happens in your brain when you're constantly under duress, when you're constantly getting immediate pressure. There's just a cumulative effect of that. And you start to anticipate pressure even when maybe it's not there. And so the one time when you have a clean pocket, it gets very easy. And feel like you're talking about if you want to splice up a highlight tape and say, hey, Jalen Carter or this player is all world, you can do the same thing in reverse. You can put up a highlight tape and say, hey, look at Justin, clean pocket, not making the read, not making the throw. That's fine. But you better go back and show the last 6 dropbacks when there was immediate pressure in his face. So on dropback number 7, he's expecting that already. It's fine to say, hey, look at Dante Pettis running wide open on the corner route. He should have hit him. But you better go back and look at the last 50 routes when Dante Pettis couldn't get open at all. He's not expecting Dante Pettis to be running wide open. It's just not the expectation. And so it's hard to evaluate anybody under those circumstances. Now you've got a legitimate wide receiver core. You're trying to piece together your offensive line, and that should be at least respectable, where you're not getting sacked 55 times. I know some of that is on him too. I'm, again, not absolving him, because also, like, if I can excuse some of his bad plays, I got to do the same thing with some of his good plays. And some of them, you get the big run, I guess against the Dolphins, the first big run, the 60-something yard touchdown. That shouldn't have happened. No. That should have been a 12, 14-yard completion to Moon and across the middle of the field. That's what should have happened. But yes, this year, that's what I expect. I expect you to hit your drop, look there, throw the ball there. He didn't do it. He came to it late. And he's like, oh, by the time I came to it, Moon had already spun out. Well, Moon spun out because he was there open and you didn't see him. So he spun out to try to get into a scramble drill for you. And then you took off and did what you do, and everybody all's forgiven when you're 70 yards down the field for a touchdown. But that has to be a 12, 14-yard, easy completion, move the chains, keep the drive going, right? So it's both, right? But he has everything that you need for a franchise quarterback. I love the kid. I think he's going to be phenomenal.
I've got to address Happy Kilmore. The Daniel Jones weapon argument alleviates the offensive line that the Giants had, which was much better than the Chicago Bears. Check out the investment
on their offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's just not play a game of stats.
It's not hype. There's a cumulative effect of not being comfortable in the pocket. It just is. It's like being in an abusive relationship, right? You're just used to getting hit. And so every time somebody raises their hand, you're like, yo, are you about to hit me? It's like, no, I was going to hug you.
You missed it, bro. It's like being a Bears fan and getting kicked in the fucking nuts every single
There
year.
You go.
You expect you expect the worst. He's going to fuck this. He's going to fuck this pick up. I mean, we've all lived it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But
I was nervous as shit watching it last night. So
before we wrap this up, Herb, tonight,
last pick,
obviously a big part of Ryan Poles moving forward. Do you think that there's maybe a surprise position that we're not talking about? We talked about offensive line, defensive line. Do you think that they could potentially, if there's even another wide receiver that they love there? Mooney's coming into a contract. Chase Claypool's coming into a contract. They can never have enough of these guys or any position at all. Do you think that they're another corner?
I think
valued position.
I think that, coming into this draft, I've been saying that this draft was wide open for Ryan Poles and the staff. Yep. Like, they could have went anywhere. They could have went anywhere last night at 9 for me. I would have been fine with it. If they was like, yo, we think Bijan is a generational back, we're going there. We think, Jackson Smith and Jigba is a difference-making receiver, we're going to go. I wouldn't have been mad whatever they did. This team is not a right tackle away from the Super Bowl. They aren't a 3 tackle away from the Super Bowl. So coming into last night, whatever they wanted to do would have been fine. I think that's still the case. They can still go a multitude of ways in terms of how they approach it. Now, what I will say is I've been kind of looking at this thing as like Ryan Poles being an artist, and he's painting his own picture. And when you watch an artist paint, that first stroke might not make sense. The second one, you're like, what is he doing? That looks stupid. You don't know what he's painting yet, right? So just wait a minute, let the picture come into focus, and then you can understand better what it is the artist is trying to put together. And so with that being said, I think that each stroke does kind of give you some insight into exactly what it is he's painting. And I think going Darnell Wright at right tackle, getting that nasty mauler, solidifying something in the trenches, lends some insight into where he is in the process of painting this picture. And so conventional wisdom would tell me he continues to go that way, either on offensive line or defensive line. But again, they have needs across the board. They still need depth at corner. They could get another receiver. They could find a running back that they think adds value and some dynamic ability to their running back room. So there's a lot of things they can go, and none of it would surprise me. So I do think that they could do some different things. Cornerback, wide receiver, running back. I think all those things are open for you. If Michael Mayer is there, like this projection just showed, that's an option for you too, even though you got a free agent tight end and you had Cole Kmet ascending last year. So I wouldn't be surprised at anything, Shayne. I really wouldn't. I think everything's on the board for them. But I think that the last paint stroke that he did lent some insight to say they're probably looking to, solidify the trenches, the core of the team. You know what I mean? Get that foundation set. And I think that's where they're going to lean.
So, let me ask it to you this way, Herb. Is there a Herb Howard favorite, a guy that you're targeting that you would love to see?
Listen,
we talked about Foskey. Is there a guy that you'd be like, oh man, I'd love to see him in Chicago?
Outside the box, I wouldn't mind Hyatt. Like I know that there's some, a lot of different stuff on him and inconsistency. But I listen, I saw the kid produce against the highest talents. I saw him, hang 5 touchdowns on Bama. So if he's there, I don't mind bringing in another wide receiver. I don't know that it's a need much more as much as it is a luxury, but I wouldn't mind seeing that in the trench. You talk about guys like Keon White. I think that's also, something that you got to keep an eye on. There's just a lot of guys, but I think again, for me, the projections get a little out there, right? And the mocks get a little out there, and I don't know where Ryan Poles is. He's the GM of this team. He's got a staff and they do their work, and I trust them. I don't have to agree with everything they do. I don't have to do that, but I can objectively evaluate it after it's done. And I'm looking forward to see what he does. I think today and tomorrow, today specifically, are equally important as yesterday.
Totally agree.
Joey Porter at cornerback. Listen, I'm with that. The cornerback class is deep. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. We're here in the top of the 3rd round, our last pick. As we jump on little recap of last night, and
I want to see what y'all got on this pick, and I got to jump, man. I love y'all so much. I appreciate y'all.
I'm glad we got you on the show because I was gonna trying to fit you in tonight at some point. You're gonna be crazy busy up there.
If I find time, I'll text you again. Like, yo, let me jump on.
There you go. Just come jumping on.
So looking at these, if I'm looking at this specifically through
Rap Sheets reporting the Bears are trying to trade up to 32. He and Rappaport. And I trust very ambitious. EJ. I trust EJ. That could be my guy Foskey, man.
That seems very ambitious, but again, they've got some bargaining chips. They've accumulated them because of the shrewd moves that they've made. Yeah.
If they gave up,
he's saying they've had conversations. I mean, I think that
means
that's a big jump, man.
That's far. That's 21 picks. That's going to cost you.
Yeah, big time.
What would it cost, in all honesty, Shayne?
It would cost you 53, 61, and 64 probably.
All 3?
Ooh.
Well, no, it would not.
I got to keep one of those.
It would be 53 and 61, I think.
I would do it.
Easily.
As long as I had 64 sitting there, I would do it to get that.
Maybe
the next year.
Maybe one of your extra 4s next year because you picked up an extra one from.
I'll throw them that 4th. I'll give them 2 of those picks in the 4th. If you're going up to 32. Now, if we're talking about late 30s, early 40s, we got to renegotiate. But
everybody's saying to send them back Claypool. So
give them a shot.
Real quick on this mock draft so we can close this out and get Herb out of here. If I'm looking at this through Ryan Poles' canvas, to use Herb's analogy, I think Keanu Benton And a guy that we haven't talked about, I think Tyreek Stevenson has been connected to Chicago an awful lot, the corner out of Miami. Yeah. Let's not forget, I don't feel real great about – I have this sneaky suspicion that Jalen Johnson's worth in his head is going to be in a whole different stratosphere than what Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus think, and he's going into a contract year. I don't know how you guys feel about that. That's just my gut feeling on that.
I don't know. It's going to be his first time, going to the table, and so I can't say that I have any real insight. I can say that I love the guy. I think he's a great person. He seems to be very humble, but at the same time, you never know what a guy wants in terms of solidifying his financial future. And so he hasn't been to the table. I won't speak on it, but I think he's an ideal cover 2 corner. I will say that he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the instincts, he can tackle. So I think he's an ideal cover 2 corner for the Bears in this system. But listen, you can also find, some guys later in the draft. I like Jalen Jones. I really do. I like the opportunities that he had late last year. I think he took advantage of those opportunities. So the Bears can find some guys. And so if they're concerned that negotiation isn't going where they wanted to, then they may have to go ahead and find that replacement sooner than later.
Yeah. So Phil, I'll let you make the call on this one. I made the call on the other one.
Okay. I would let Herb make the call.
All right. Yeah. Herb, go ahead.
Thule went off the board.
Yes. He went to pick to
he
Philly.
Went 2 picks before, for fuck's sake. So
your guy went?
Yeah, Thule
my
went.
guy Thule went. So what are you looking at here? We got Mayer.
Keanu Benton is out there.
Benton, the 3 tech.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle. I believe he's a 3 tech. Some people, he's not 330 pounds. So people
6'3",
look at his rats. He's 309.
8.9.
So he's like the perfect showcase of that. Then offensively, receiver could play into play here. Right?
Yeah.
I love me some Jonathan Mingo.
Oh, Mingo's got to be.
He would be in the conversation here at 3.
Did you say Mayer's still there?
No, we took him at 61.
Picked Mayer at 61.
Oh, we got him at 61. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
So now we slid down.
Now we have the first pick of the 3rd round. Yeah,
at 64.
Any position you want to look at?
We have to address this D line. You got to take a shot, right? You got to take a shot. Whoever you've got as your highest rated, D lineman, interior, or even if it's exterior, if you think it's edge, and I'm an inside out guy, right? I love to take care of the inside before I get to the edge. But I think you got to go with your highest rated defensive lineman at this point. You just high on the board. If it's the 3 tech, I would go there for Ben. If it's an edge guy that's got some of the traits you want in terms of the bend, the athleticism, I would go there and the get off. But I think you can't come out of this draft without having defensive linemen that you feel really good about. Not like late round projections that are, if this, if that, if this, if that. Guys that you really feel good about coming into camp. And so you got a luxury pick there at 61. 64 has to be something that you really need.
So are you higher on Benton or Dexter or Zach Pickens? Ika?
I will go Benton because I'm an inside out guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd rather have Benton. Dexter to me is what you were dealing with before. Questioning.
And you see the guys that we talked about. Derek Hall goes the very next pick. Stevenson, Dexter. So the run was on.
It was time.
Bergeron going in the 3rd. I think he's going tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. So
there you go.
That's not a bad day too, right there.
Can't go wrong with the Badger. Well, Herb Howard, thank you so much for jumping on with us here, having some fun.
My pleasure. It's always a blast. I'm supposed to be on something at 11. I told him to give me 5 or 10 minutes, so I got to jump over there. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. Keep doing great stuff. I know all of the Bears Nation appreciates the work that y'all put in terms of y'all watch more film than anybody I know outside of Hallertau. Like I'm not even gonna pretend to watch as much film as y'all do. Y'all be naming kids from like Utah State. I'm like, who the fuck is who? Like whatever. Like y'all put in all of the work. Y'all do phenomenal job, and y'all find a way to keep it relatable and keep y'all's community that y'all built in tune and engaged and a part of the process. So I love what y'all do. I appreciate y'all. It's always a blast to hang out with y'all. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Bring us some luck tonight up there.
Bring us some luck.
We'll do what we can. We'll see what we got.
Over Larry. Don't
tell Larry I said to fuck off.
Shout out to Larry Mann.
See you, Herb.
Herb Howard. Follow him. It's the Bigs. Great dude.
So
supporter.
Darnell Wright, John Michael Schmitz, Michael Marin, Keanu Benton. If that's what you're coming away, and I mean, you have to throw in DJ Moore.
Gotta throw in DJ Moore
part of the
another first round pick
2024
next year.
first rounder. Yeah, from
Let's
Carolina.
not forget that. Jesus Christ.
Yep. So but yeah, man. I say we wrap it up there. We got a big night coming up. We're gonna be going live at 6:30 p.m. Kickoff is at 7. So we're going to have it all covered here for you guys. We went a little bit longer than like we always do. Phil and I are like, yeah, we'll do an hour. And then
I'm starving for lunch.
Oh, dude, I popped out and went and grabbed a third bottle of water just because I was like, God, I got to get something. Yeah.
Listen, we love you guys. We're going to be back tonight. Just remember, go there if you haven't already, thetapeneverlies.com. You can go into a DVR and you'll see our breakdowns and analysis of Darnell Wright from back in February. You're going to be able to see all of the things that we've been breaking down. And then tonight, hopefully, one of our other guys gets snagged up. But all of it, we are going to be breaking down throughout the next couple weeks. Every draft pick that the Bears select, we are going to take to the All-22 and break them down like TTNL does. Special guests. I know Eric Kramer will be on day 3 tomorrow, Saturday. Round 6. He's going to jump on, and we're going to break down some Darnell Wright and whoever else we pick. Me and Ivan will be in the cutting room tomorrow getting this stuff ready.
Phil, yes. Gut feeling.
I feel like
they're going up.
The Bears are going to trade up and get a pass rusher. Who that is, I love 2 guys that are available as a pass rushers, and that would be Keon White and obviously my guy Isaiah Foskey. The biggest shock for me was Will McDonald last night. I did not think he was.
Oh, that was a shock. It wasn't as much of a shock. My biggest shock was Jahmyr Gibbs going 12.
No, I guess that for me, I didn't see Will McDonald going in the first, let alone that high.
Yeah.
But
I just kind of defaulted to them kissing Rodgers' ass even more and essentially said, who do you want? And this is who we'll get. It sounds like Gibbs was their guy. He was off the board, but I thought they might pivot because that was before the wide receiver run too. So, yeah, definitely didn't see that.
That's my guy. I believe the Bears are going to trade up. They're going to trade up. We will be live. The great producer with the pork chop and applesauce. There he is, right there.
Oh, you guys are going to hear Dora the Explorer in a minute.
It's all good, bro.
I want to give you a shout. Great work last night.
Thanks,
Can't wait to see Ivan's in the cutting room putting together the open for tonight. So I'm excited. We'll be back 6:30 East to get you ready, Dora, for round 2 and 3. Shayne, any other things you want to talk about or promote?
No. Just ready to go. Gonna go up and feed the kids, feed myself, and maybe take 30 minutes and put my feet up and
exactly.
Yeah. Just chill. Break. I need just Just a little.
It'll be another 5-hour show tonight.
Yeah.
We will see you tonight.
Ding, ding.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.